What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put that on all so you get notified all the latest content as and when it drops on this channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this Saturday just gone, we had the conclusion of the trilogy Canelo versus Triple G. So Canelo-Alvarez versus Gennady-Golovkin, Triple G. This series, of course, we had it's had quite a bit of controversy in terms of the decisions. I thought, on reflection, that Gennady Golovkin won the first fight, and I'd have no problem with the second fight going to Canelo. But I think the first fight, the controversial draw for me, I think that should have gone to Golovkin. But anyway, here we were in the third fight. And going into this fight, my thoughts were basically something similar to what did happen would happen. And I got no credit to me for that, really, because at the end of the day, it's an easy one to predict. And I think it's what most people were predicting, a Canelo victory. Some were saying Canelo may be able to stop Golovkin at this point. I was more leaning towards the points victory. That's pretty much what happened. It was a fight that had excitement in little points, in little bursts, but overall it wasn't the most thrilling fight, wasn't the most exciting fight. It was pretty much a straightforward routine victory by Canelo. Triple G, he was there all night, but Canelo, it didn't stop him or anything like that. But Canelo just seemed to sort of this phrase we use in boxing, like box within himself, and that seemed to be pretty much what he done throughout this fight. He was taking his time. He never sort of went through the gears at any point in this fight. It was pretty comfortable boxing, outlanding Triple G, landing good sort of hooks to the body, good right hooks to the body. He wasn't really able to get close to stopping Triple G, and I think he kind of realized that from early on. But it was pretty much a fight where Golovkin was there, he was hanging around, he was kind of, for a lot of this fight, Golovkin, although he's mainly sort of a come forward fighter, he was boxing a lot sort of on the back foot, in some ways quite similar to how he boxed in the second fight, and Canelo was the aggressor, very kind of similar to how he was in the second fight also. So they kind of assumed those sorts of roles. Golovkin mainly sort of back foot, trying to land counters, but it just simply wasn't enough activity from Golovkin, from Triple G. He just didn't do anywhere near enough work, or didn't come anywhere close to really winning many of the rounds. I think overall you might be able to give him 3 at the most, or maybe you can give him 4 if you can somehow find it. But for me, I think this was a fight where it was about 9-3 in Canelo's favor, because all the rounds, they were pretty similar in pattern. The pace was all pretty similar. Some people are even saying, this was like a kind of sparring session, because the pace of the fight never really went up there. So as much as Canelo was talking beforehand about he's going to go in there, he's going to stop Golovkin, he's going to stop Triple G, he's going to be the first man to do that. Most of his fights, he doesn't really make predictions such as that one, but in this one, he was saying, this is personal, this guy said things about me, blah, blah, blah. But in the actual fight itself, we never really saw that from Canelo. We never really saw Canelo sort of really raising the pace and trying to get Golovkin out of there. It was all just, he'd land 1 or 2, he might throw 3s and 4s sometimes, but you never really saw him just inject that pace into it and really try and get the older fighter out there. He seemed quite content to just outland him, do his bit, do enough to win, and just, he was dominant in the sense that, yes, he practically won. I don't know, I want to say it's 9-3 in my view, so won 9 out of 12 rounds. Golovkin was always there. He was always there to sort of be hit, but yeah, you never really saw that injection pace from Canelo really looking and going for it, knowing that he's well in front in the fight, and really, you never really saw him going for it to sort of get the guy out of there. And likewise from Golovkin from Triple G, for his efforts, he was also sort of one-paced, and I think you could really sort of see Triple G's age in this fight. You could see those 40 years have really caught up to him, because he just wasn't able to do that much in this. There, he did have his little moments. There was very few rounds where he won, but he did have his moments here and there. But again, with him, you didn't see that urgency where, I mean, in my view, he must have known at some point when it comes championship rounds, 10, 11, 12, he must have known, I'm behind here on the scorecards. I've got to just, go all out for it. Risk maybe getting knocked out for the sake of, getting a victory here. But you never saw much of that injection of pace from Triple G either. And I believe he and his corner, Banks and that, they must have known they were well behind on the scorecards, especially you're fighting someone like Canelo. But no, he didn't really see that injection. He seemed just quite content to go through, have his moments, but then he'd not sort of pull the trigger again. And maybe that's age, maybe he couldn't pull the trigger at all. But yeah, it's one of those fights where it's, maybe a bit of an anticlimax, you could describe it as. But in terms of results, just what you'd expect. The younger, fresher fighter wins the fight against the aging fighter that's got to be nearing retirement. So yeah, congratulations to Canelo. Good victory for him, especially coming off the back of the defeat to Dimitri Bivol, to come back down in weight again, fight and beat somebody, retain your undisputed at super middleweight. Excellent. Good achievement wise, it's good for him, and morale wise, it's good for him. It shows that, at least mentally he's quite strong. And in terms of what's next, for a guy like Canelo, I think perhaps, I think Benavidez would be a good fight for him. I think Benavidez, Andrade, if Charlo wants to come up to 168, I think one of those three would do nicely. But at the same time, I'm not part of the club that says Canelo is ducking Benavidez or ducking any of these guys, really. I think the only one who may have a legitimate claim in that respect is someone like Andrade, because with Andrade, he had the remaining belt. He had a belt at 160, and Canelo decided to go too light heavy rather than to face him. So he's probably the only one that's got like a legitimate sort of claim where, I was a fight that you could have had. You went to another weight division and fought somebody, as Chris Andre said in his video, that you went up there, fought a guy that's, was faded, battered him, got hit a world championship, when you had a fresh guy at 160 at middleweight that you could have taken on. So I kind of get that. But a lot of the other guys, it's just like, none of them is really in a sort of better position than any other. You certainly can't say he's sort of ducking or avoiding any of the other guys. But I'd like to see him. I'd like to see a Benavidez. I'd like to see a Charlo, and definitely an Andrade. I think he's had a hard time of it. Andrade, he ain't been able to get anyone in the ring really. So any one of the marquee names. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Let me know what you thought of this fight, Triple G versus Canelo 3. Were you disappointed? And who do you think Canelo should be fighting next? And until next time, this is MKO Pugilism, over and out.